What you know what? Just to be safe. Thing you did ended up saving your A later? Safety glasses. When working away it's easy to talk yourself into doing something really quick without them, and there is always a voice in your head yelling at you to put them on. Stopped grinding the thing I was working on, got my glasses, came back. And then this chunk flies up and cracks the right lens. Spidey senses 1, Murphy's Law 0. I've had a handful of these in my life. The one that popped in my head first was from a party when I was 16. It was in a small farm town about 20-25 minutes from my actual town, and everyone was out partying in somebody's parents' barn and having a real good time. I didn't realize that our DD had been drinking all night. When it was time to go, I couldn't even tell she was tipsy. But something wasn't right, so I didn't want to drive back with them. For whatever reason I decided to get the verbal tongue lashing from my mom when she came to pick me up. Well, my friends in the first car were apparently veering across the road. Got picked up by the cops and all of them got to spend the night in jail. Glad I opted for my mom. Arrive in San Francisco a week into a trip. As we gather our things during a moment of downtime, I go back to check the bus cause. You know, it never hurts. Found my passport, which I had no idea I'd dropped. Was about to put a new load of laundry into my washing machine in the dark. Saw what looked to be a large sock still in the washing machine. Put my hand halfway into the washing machine, then pulled my hand back up and thought, I usually don't leave things in my washing machine. Turned on the light. And it was a bat sitting in there. When I was like 5 years old, my parents took my sister and me to planetarium show. And every kid got a souvenir pencil that had the distances of the planets from the sun written on it. Mercury, Venus, Earth, etc. The guy running the planetarium show said something like, hang on to these pencils until 7th grade kids. And you can use them to cheat on your astronomy tests. He was joking, but I never forgot. And sure enough, it was the exact pencil I used to cheat on astronomy in 7th grade. I felt smart but also bad because I didn't feel good cheating and almost never cheated after that. I had a car sitting on jack stands because I needed to do some transmission work. Before climbing under it, I thought it'd be a good idea to rock the car around. One of the jack stands was not in the right spot and the car slipped off it. Slamming down on the front disc brakes would have killed me. I was going on a road trip. We packed everything in the trunk. Then I realized that I forgot to check the air in the spare tire. Faced with unpacking the and repacking, I thought, what are the odds? We've had the car for years. Never had a flat. We probably won't have a flat now. Then I thought, screw that, and tossed the floor pump I use for my bicycle into the trunk. Just in case. Got a flat in the middle of effing nowhere. Spare was too flat to drive on. Floor pump saved my ass. It gets packed on every trip now. Saved an email where a lead developer told me to do something stupid. A couple years later. Him now a manager who liked to yell at his subordinates. We were talking about this stupid behavior and he yelled, "Well, why did you do that?" I pulled up his email, clearly instructing me to do just that. He sputtered and walked off. Speechless. One time my boss gave me a weekly metrics recording task that didn't make a lot of sense. But hey, the guy pays me. So I did it. Like a year later, we're in a meeting discussing what metrics we use and don't use, and this same boss sees it and laughs. Double quote. What idiot came up with that? Everyone chuckled but me. I froze. Come on. You can tell me. They won't get in trouble. UHH. It was you, sir. Everybody laughed, including the manager. So I started breathing again. I like that job. Take 10 before you send has saved my A countless times. Means take 10 seconds to reread your email, post whatever written communication before you send. Emails, especially in the workplace, last forever. So, you mean everyone else doesn't reread their emails 40 times and then finally hit the send button with anxiety for no apparent reason? Welsh. I bought a used Subaru Baja that was 5 years old at the time and had 75k miles for $12k. The salesman offered an extended warranty that covered the engine for $2,500. Would last 3 years/36k miles. That was kind of a lot. And I usually don't buy those. I don't know what got into me that day. But I said sure. 1 month and 750 miles later, after an oil change at a mechanic shop, oil started shooting into the pistons. I'm not good with cars. Oil went where it wasn't supposed to go. Completely ruined the engine and turbo. The dealer had to keep it for 3 weeks. The warranty company flew someone out to inspect the car and eventually approved a replacement engine, turbo, and any other affected parts. Total repairs cost almost $11k. And the warranty then applied to all the new parts too. Car drove like it was brand new. Later discovered the car had 5 previous owners before me. But I couldn't find any accident or serious repair history. This is probably the only time buying an extended warranty on something actually worked out in my favor. Oil went where it wasn't supposed to go. That about sums up my knowledge of cars. Glad it worked out for you. I bought a really nice tablet a few years ago. A Wacom Cintiq, essentially a drawing tablet built into a laptop, for animation and the like. Sometimes when you buy nice things they come in nice boxes, and for some reason I don't really want to throw this box away immediately. I put it in the storage area of my basement and forgot about it. After only about a month this $2,500 tablet stopped working. It wasn't dropped or damaged. And I'm still not sure how it broke. It would simply try to boot up and fail, crashing and demanding a restart. I called support, and after several calls and many hours, we were unable to resolve the issue. They said I could send it back and get a new one if it wasn't physically damaged. They told me it needed to be sent back in the original box. I now keep boxes for everything I buy until the warranty expires. Was remodeling my house. Took out a loan and had to get the house appraised to get the loan. Found that my house was worth 100k more than I had it insured for. Raised my limits on the home insurance to 50k more than the appraised value in anticipation of completing renovations. 2 weeks later, house burned to the ground due to faulty bathroom fan that I did not touch. City, insurance company and loan company all sent separate investigators due to how shady it looked. I can't speak for the city, but I can say that the insurance company and the loan company, which has its own insurance, would have sent out an inspection for that regardless of the circumstances due to the dollar amount of the claim. Skepticism and an attitude of trust but verify are simply baked into the job. I work in it. When I started working where I do 9 years ago, I noticed that volume shadow copies, VSS, were not turned on the file server. I went ahead and turned it on, and thank God I have never had to pull a tape in the whole 9 years, and I hope to not ever have to. I did not ask for permission to do it, because I knew corporate wouldn't let me do it. Space was $sign back then. The guy at corporate that was over all their servers called and thanked me for doing it because he was also going to do it, and since I did it first, he was allowed to. I have had to use the VSS copies many times, but most recently our exec VP of quality accidentally deleted her network share with all of our employees' info in them. Thankfully VSS is on and it saved my as well as hers. When I was 20, I worked at a gas station. They had just changed the law to if the customer looked 40 and under, you had to hide them for cigarettes. I was by myself. Lady came in and ordered a pack of Camels. She looked roughly 45. So I didn't ask. I had this nagging feeling throughout the transaction that it would be a very good idea to ask. So before I took her money I kinda laughed and said, "Mind if I see your ID real quick? I'm really sorry. You're clearly old enough, but they changed the law recently on who we have to ID." She just looks at me and said, "I'm so glad you asked," and flashed her work card at me. She was a freaking inspector. If I didn't ask her, I would have been arrested and fined. That was the day I learned to trust my gut. And I also suck at telling people's ages. She was 35. Couple of years ago I restarted The Sopranos from season 1. I think it's in the first season where the water heater leaks and floods Tony's basement. So there are these scenes where he's wading around in a flooded basement. I was imagining what a nightmare that would be. It reminded me that when I bought my house, The inspector told me I would need to replace the water heater within 5 years. I then realized that was like 12 years prior. So I suddenly got nervous. I went and looked at the water heater. And it seemed fine, but I couldn't shake the feeling. I also did not have the money to pay to have a new water heater installed. So I decided to go ahead and buy a new water heater and then save up money to pay someone to install it. The water heater arrived and I stored it in the laundry room. Just a few weeks after it arrived, I happened to look at the old water heater. And I noticed the catch pan under it had an inch of water in it. It was leaking. Oh no. Emergency. Except wait a minute. I already have a plan for this. So, instead of saving up money to hire a plumber, I went to YouTube and learned how to install my own water heater. It all worked out perfectly. All because The Sopranos made me anxious about the condition of my water heater, causing me to randomly purchase a water heater I had no immediate plan to install. My friends and I were always giving shit to another friend because he was never wearing the seatbelt while driving. One night another friend and him drove me home. It was pretty late and we were all tired. When they dropped me off I told him use the effing seatbelt, you dumbass. The next day, around lunchtime, I got a call that my two friends got in a car accident. The dumbass fell asleep while driving my other dumbass friend's car. They hit a parked car, which hit the car in front of it and got stuck into a wall. The parked car acted as a ramp for their car. They flipped over and slid like 20 meters upside down. For some reason the dumbass had his seatbelt on for the first time ever and he didn't get injured. Both of them crawled outside the car without a single scratch. If I'm not wrong, my friend in the passenger seat broke his pinky though. Dumbass learned his lesson and his seatbelt is always on now, even when he's in the passenger seat. I was offered a job in Europe, where I was promised a bonus that was X% of my salary, paid twice a year. When the offer was sent, there was no mention of the bonus, and when I questioned why, I was told, "Don't worry. It's in this email with my official company signature." I put that one into the saved folder, just to be safe. Fast forward to moving. On the first payout period I was told I needed to be with the company for 90 days first before a bonus would be paid. Okay. I was annoyed. But I guess that makes sense. On the second bonus payment, they mentioned that the company hadn't had a great year and nobody would be getting bonuses. More annoyed. But if the company isn't doing great, what are you going to do? I should add this was in 2008. The following year rolls around and the company announces that things have really taken off and they will pay out the previous bonus period, in addition to the current bonus period. Only problem is, I literally handed in my resignation that day. I inquire to find out if I'll be receiving my bonus from the previous bonus period. And they say, "Are you kidding? You just quit." I call a lawyer. I dig up the email from the start of this post, hand that over, and the lawyer says it's a slam dunk case. She goes after both bonus payments from the first year and both bonus payments from the current year, even though one of them hasn't happened yet. Company HQ calls me and tries to get me to drop it, and I refer them to my lawyer. A week later, at my new job, the lawyer informs me that they've paid all for bonus payments, and she also went after her own fees. So it cost me nothing. Glad I saved that email. Cover your ass. And do not let others push you around.